got three guys I want to break down. Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Agreed.
I like this kid. Why? Because to me, in this past Happy League,
Yep.
he could do it all.
Yep.
He could even potentially play safety. Don't think that's going to happen. He has pretty good size, but this guy could zone coverage, man coverage, needs to be able to cover those linebackers, cover those running backs, cover those tight ends. And when guys come up the middle to catch that ball, he's going to make them pay. I like him. Noah Sewell from Oregon. This kid's 6'2", 250, solid. Look, I'm not saying he's going to be the best overall guy. I'm saying I was focusing on coverage. And we're talking about coverage. Sewell, I think any team that drafts this guy, he's going to be pretty good in coverage. He's going to be reliable. He's going to be able to stay on the field on third down. And that's what you need. That's what's going to be important, Adam, is the guys who can stay for all three downs. And if you could do that, you're going to find your way in the field. And my last guy that I like is Jack Campbell from Iowa. Another size guy. 6'5", 246. I love these big guys, but the good thing about these dudes, he can move. He's versatile. Great hips, great in coverage. And these three guys, I'm telling you, if they're not great in coverage, they're going to have problems. But from what I've seen, from what experts are saying, from the tape, to me, they smell like guys who are going to perform in the next level and cover. Because that's what I want. I'm so tired of these bad secondaries and these linebackers that are stiff.
Yep. Yeah, I got a lot of respect for the position, man. I mean, you look at the Fred Warners, the Bobby Wagners, guys that have actually had extended time in this league. I mean, I love me a Brian Urlacher. I love me a Luke Kuechly. I love me a I think it was AJ Hawk back in the day for the Bengals, you know. So like seeing all these guys and how hard they have to work, not only being heavy hitters back then, but especially in today's NFL. I mean, you let it off perfectly. What a great way to get into it. It is a pass happy league, and you know, seeing guys that not only have the size, you want to make sure they can shed off those blockers because you're kind of moving into the edge rushers. But hey, you got to be not necessarily on the back end, but you have to be ready for an Alvin Kamara or potentially, you know, a Saquon Barkley to come through the line that can run a route, or they could burn you on the outside. Being that true edge to edge type of guy, I'm totally feeling you there. Got an awesome comment here from this Justin Sports Show. Justin, good to see you tonight. Darby wants to know, he's a loyal guy in the chat. We're loyal Saints fans. Jansen, he's not a Falcons fan, actually, Darby. He's a Jets fan. I was going to ask him if he was, but I already know that answer.
Yeah, I'm not a true Falcons guy, but I do cover it. Look, Darby, if you're a Falcons guy, you ought to be proud of yourself.
Oh, no, sir. Who dat nation?
Not? Okay. Hey, look, I will say this about the Saints. And I know I'm a little off topic. I'll say this quickly. I love the signing. I like Carr, man. I like it. I think Carr, best quarterback in that division. Saints fans, you should be happy. Who that?
Yeah. You know, when it happened at first, I wasn't really liking the money, but I'm like, look, these guys are going to get paid. The contract's not going to seem as bad. It was definitely an upgrade. And if we make the right moves around him, you know, I really do feel like we'll be able to, I'm not calling for a run, but we'll look a hell of a lot better than we did last year and a lot better than we felt walking into this year before we signed Derek Carr. Let's go ahead and get into these linebackers though, man. This is actually, I wouldn't say a loaded linebacker class, but when you look at some of the prospects that are in here, like, I got to be honest with you. I left a linebacker, I think it's Harry Toto is how you pronounce his name, from Alabama. I left him out of here. He's a great guy, but he didn't make my cut. Noah Sewell, I wanted to put him in as well, but I would like to see a little more of him. I know you were mentioning coverage. He's a little blitz heavy for my liking, but he's going to be a dog, no doubt. He's going to get taken and I think have a great NFL career and really just be able to play very well in the league. Number one for me, though, and I think it was your number one as well, Trenton Simpson, no doubt. You got him running a 4.43 in Clemson. It kind of reminds me of those A.J. Terrell days or those Isaiah Simmons days, kind of having that type of build. This guy is someone that they've compared to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I can't remember the college he came out of, but we saw how he went to the Browns. Has had a pretty good career so far. 40.5-inch vertical for a linebacker is definitely nothing to shy away from. You got 68 tackles, 16 pressures. He had an interception, 2 forced fumbles this year. So he's getting in the backfield, making things happen. And this guy's a high-end athlete for his position. Like I was mentioning, 4'4", 340, 40.5-inch vertical, and 6'2", 234 pounds, clearly a young kid at 22 years old. But you look at, he's got a great build and the way that he can move around the line and yes, be in that coverage, but also get aggressive in that backfield. You heard the numbers that I was talking about as well. And an amazing blitzing upside that you put him in the right package, you rotate him around some, and really alluding back to what you said, Jansen, about these linebackers being very versatile. That's what you look for in the NFL. And I was thinking about it before we got on the show. I'm like, you know what? Micah Parsons really screwed it up for everybody, because when you have a guy that can come to the league, Like, I still think Atlanta should have taken him at number 4 all day. I'm not going to sit here and get into that, but seeing what Micah Parsons has done in 2 seasons for the Dallas Cowboys, coming up in the defensive player of the year voting, like that's your standard. That's the guys you want to see. My second guy here, though, is a guy that I had to get into the numbers and dig in on this one, but Dayan Henley, I think is how you say it. Might be Dayan Henley out of Washington State. Not really a blazer with the 40 time. He runs a 4.54, but he's got a nice broad jump as well, 33-inch arms, and some people are comparing him to Deion Jones. We remember Debo in Atlanta when the Falcons were really, really having that presence in the linebacker position. This guy's a former wide receiver as well. So he sees the field in a little different way. He's got more of that athleticism, more of just that experience being on the other side of the ball. We're not going to talk about what he was as a receiver, but just being in that position, having that knowledge, definitely going to help him at the linebacker position. Very explosive when he comes downhill as well. And then you've also got a good blitzing upside with this guy as well, but he's got balance. He does have balance within his game. I'd like to see him play a little more a little more proactive and not reactive, and get a little bit better disengaging from some of these blockers. But nonetheless, I got a lot of respect for Henley out of Washington State. And then number 3 was really a toss-up between Jack Campbell. I had Owen Papo out of Auburn, and I was also looking at Dorian Williams as well. But Jack Campbell is an absolute monster in this linebacking class.
He's a big boy.
Might have won. Yes, he is massive. I think he might have been your number 1. People are comparing him to a potential Logan Wilson, I believe, that has played for Washington at some point in his career. 37.5-inch vertical. He had a nice 3-cone, nice hands as well in the combine, obviously, when he weighed in. You look at some of his numbers, 15 pressures, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 121 tackles on the season. So he was clearly getting in those roles at Iowa, and he's moving up these draft boards, and I think he's going to be a great pick. You look at the frame, you look at the athleticism, with the numbers that I read off there, the way that he's able really to move through traffic on the offensive line and just really kind of in that secondary part of the field is what makes him so special in the draft. And then you can't shy away from the fact of how he plays in zone coverage as well. It's very, very impressive. And again, like you said, Jansen, something that they absolutely need. He's not going to be a dude that's going to bust through the O-line, be like a disruptor or a penetrator rather, but overall, Jack Campbell, Trenton Simpson, and we've also got Dayan Henley out of Washington State.